Vayomanda yushascha vai Nidraya hriyate naktam Divacha vyarta karmavi Mandasya madan prandasya Vayomanda yuyaschave Nidraya hiryate naktam Divyacha varyata karmabihi
Mandasya manda pragyasya Vayo manda yushascha vai Nidraya hriyate naktam Devacha vyarta karmabihi
Mandasya manda pragyasya Vayo mandaya shaschavai Nidrai hrityate naktam Devacha vyarta karma behi
Mandasya manda pragyasya Vaya manda yashashchavai Nidraya hriyate naktam Devacha vyarta karma bihi
Mandasya manda pragyasya Vayo manda yushascha vai Nidraya hriyate naktam Devacha vyarta karma bihi
Mandasya of the lazy, manda, paltry, pragyasya of intelligence, vaya, age, manda, short, ayusha, of duration of life, cha, and, vai, exactly, nidraya, by sleeping, riyate, passes away, naktam, night, diva, daytime, cha, also. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Lazy human beings with paltry intelligence and a short duration of life pass the night sleeping, in the day performing activities that are for naught. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The less intelligent do not know the real value of the human form of life. The human form is a special gift of material nature in the course of her enforcing stringent laws of miseries upon the living being. It is a chance to achieve the highest boon of life, namely to get out of the entanglement of repeated birth and death. The intelligent take care of this important gift by strenuously endeavoring to get out of the entanglement. But the less intelligent are lazy and unable to evaluate the gift of the human body to achieve liberation from the material bondage. They become more interested in so-called economic development and work very hard throughout life simply for the sense enjoyment of the temporary body. Sense enjoyment is also allowed to the lower animals by the law of nature. And thus a human being is also destined to a certain amount of sense enjoyment according to his past or present life. But one should definitely try to understand that sense enjoyment is not the ultimate goal of human life. Herein it is said that during the daytime one works for nothing, because the aim is nothing but sense enjoyment. We can particularly observe how the human being is engaged for nothing in the great cities and industrial towns. There are so many things manufactured by human energy, but they are all meant for sense enjoyment and not for getting out of material bondage. And after working hard during the daytime, the tired man either sleeps or engages in sex habits at night. That is the program of materialistic civilized life for the less intelligent. Therefore, they are designated herein as lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived. Translation again. Lazy human beings with paltry intelligence and a short duration of life pass the night sleeping and the day performing activities that are for naught. So this is a description of the unfortunate, short-lived, lazy human beings in the age of Kali. We have paltry intelligence. Paltry means meager or insignificant. Our intelligence is meager and insignificant. By Krishna's mercy, every living being is endowed with intelligence. The intelligence is the driver of this body. But higher than the intelligence is the soul. And unless the soul is properly guided by a guru, one wastes his life simply in sense gratification. During the daytime, simply performing activities that are for naught, and at night, either sleeping or a sex life. And thus this human form of life is ruined. But one who is intelligent, one who is endowed with sufficient intelligence, according to Lord Chaitanya, he engages in the Sankirtan movement, always chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This can purify one's intelligence so that one becomes eligible to go back home, back to Godhead, which is the ultimate goal of life. During the day, people perform activities that are for naught. This word naught means for nothing, that's useless. There are two kinds of material activities, bad and good. But according to Srimad Bhagavatam, both kinds of activities are for naught, they're useless. Even if one is a good man, still he has to rotate in the cycle of birth and death without release. Because if one does good activities, he's obliged to take another birth to reap the results. He has to be born in heavenly planets. And there he has to waste time for millions of years enjoying sense gratification. But one who is intelligent, he wants to go to the highest planet, Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavan, for there one can live eternally in full bliss and knowledge and engage with Krishna's devotees and Krishna himself. So this is the highest goal of life. And in Kali Yuga, the lifespan is said to be 100 years, but that's growing shorter every year. Even the scientists are noticing that the lifespan is decreasing in Kali Yuga. Formerly, in the previous Yuga, one used to live for 1,000 years, and before that, 10,000 years. And in Sat Yuga, the Golden Age, the human beings lived for 100,000 years. And in the Golden Age, they were all intelligent. They were all engaged in self-realization. So, by the grace of Guru, one can be given a good brain. One can become intelligent and use this life 100% for serving Krishna 24 hours. And for a devotee, devotees also are engaged in the 4 activities: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But for a devotee, sleeping is very dangerous. It's the most dangerous activity, because if one sleeps too much, one is entangled in the mode of ignorance. And in Bhagavad Gita, in purport, and one of the nice purports, Prabhupada writes that one who sleeps more than 6 hours out of 24 is certainly influenced by the mode of ignorance, the lowest mode of material nature. What is the result of the mode of ignorance? One has to take birth in the lower species of life. If one is born as a cat, he can enjoy sleeping 12 hours in the wintertime. Sometimes cat sleeps 15 hours a day. So this is a result of the mode of ignorance. And the Goswamis of Vrindavan, they were so absorbed in Krishna consciousness, they were relishing transcendental mellows. So they minimized their sleeping to almost nil, at most 1.5 hours a day out of 24. And in the spiritual world, the living entities are so much happy in serving Krishna that they don't like to rest at all. They're 24 hours engaged in serving the Lord and the Lord's devotees. So the devotee regards sleeping as a great waste of time. And if we waste our time sleeping, we can never get that time back. So after rising from sleeping, we have to purify ourselves from the mode of ignorance by evacuating, washing our mouth, brushing our teeth, gargling, and taking bath, and chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra. And our activities should be performed in order to please the Guru. It should be authorized by the Guru or the temple president. In this way, one can make progress on the path back home, back to Godhead. Sometimes a karmi might say, well, I'm a good person, I perform good activities, and with my earnings I contribute to charity, I give to the Salvation Army, I give to the Republican Party, or someone might say, I give to the Democrat Party. In this way, I use my activities, the fruits of my activities, for a higher cause. But this is, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, this is all for naught, because if one does good activities, one has to take birth to reap the results of that activities. Say I see a homeless person who's begging. He's asking me for a handout, so I give him 1 mango. But that means in the next life, I have to take birth, and that person who received the mango from me, he's obliged to pay me 4 mangoes, either in this life or the next life. So I have to take my next birth in the material world to receive 4 mangoes. Yes. You had a question, Prabhu?
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, Honorable Maharaj, please.
So, to put this in a way that might be easy for us to understand, a common man. Let's say there's a train, and it's going somewhere, overnight train. And a very intelligent man gets on board. He obviously has a lot of knowledge. He's a good man, and he speaks to people in each compartment. He tells them, I have knowledge that this train is going to meet with an accident tonight, and everyone that remains on the train will be killed. He's going to go off a cliff. And so the people that listen to some get a little alarmed, but for the most part, they say, look, we want to go to sleep. We're going to eat tonight. We're going to just, take your message somewhere else. Don't disturb us. So whatever they do that night until the train goes off the track and everyone dies is simply waste. If someone says, well, he fed his family nice and that was good before they died. Or the other ones did all they sang songs, they drank. Or even if someone read a book, because they missed the golden opportunity to save themselves from imminent death. They didn't take it. They weren't interested. So they're all fools. They're all rascals. And there's really nothing more to say. Prabhupada was such an intelligent person, a sage. And he was giving this message. Look, you're all going to be slaughtered very soon by the hands of death. And there is one thing you can do, and that is get off this material train. Get off the train, and you can live forever. But they're not interested because they're so caught up in their activities. We have to do sports, we have to do this enjoyment, that enjoyment, this work, that work. And they simply cannot take it seriously. So we can see how unfortunate people are. Srila Prabhupada gives us books. And some people, though, they did take it. Therefore, the Vedas say, wake up. Usishtata Jagrata Prapyavarana. Now it's time to wake up and understand the boon of human life, and you have this opportunity to become self-realized. Atata Brahmajigasa. But they're thinking, let me increase my sense enjoyment. If I can have more sense enjoyment than the other person, or than my friends, when we die, then I've won. I won the competition. But that's also foolish because no one can increase their material enjoyment or decrease material suffering that they're to do. That goes for the animals or the humans. They cannot decrease or increase by material means, but by spiritual method, one can get free from that whole cycle, that whole business of birth and death and sense enjoyment. So it's a good opportunity to wake up. And the best duty in life, once you've received the message, it's like if you go back to the train example, if you got the message that this person was telling the truth and you asked him questions, how do you know this train is going to go off the cliff? He said, because I know that the track has been ruined. Some very mischievous persons have destroyed the track right at such and such a place, and the train will derail right up. They said, how do you know? Where did you get this information? And he explains, I found out from this. I work for the train company. I know the track very well. I help lay it. He gives so much information. So if you believe him, then you will go to the other friends and all the other people on the train, and you will try to convince them also This man's telling the truth. Please take it seriously. Stay off the train. Get off the train now. Save your lives. That's Krishna consciousness, preaching the message, trying to wake up the sleeping souls. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna Maharaj, for your transcendental words. Are there more comments or questions? Yes. Mathur Nath Prabhu.
So this talk about the ignorant person and sleep, it reminded me of a verse in the third canto. Samsayo ta viparyasyo nischaya smritiryevacha swapayati uchate buddhir lakshanam riddha pratak. Translation is doubt, misapprehension, correct apprehension, memory, and sleep, as determined by their different functions, are said to be the distinct characteristics of intelligence. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, sleep is also necessary to keep the intelligence in working order. If there is no sleep, the brain cannot work nicely. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is especially mentioned that persons who regulate eating, sleeping, and other necessities of the body in proper proportion become very successful in the yoga process. So I just thought I'd add that, because sometimes we can jump to conclusions or actions when we hear that, sleep is, we shouldn't be sleeping, and it's totally in the mode of ignorance.
Yes, thank you. And Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, one who neither sleeps too much nor too little can practice yoga. One who does not eat too much or too little can practice the yoga system. So we have to regulate the senses by eating only Krishna prasadam, chanting Hare Krishna, talking about Krishna, telling others about Krishna. Yes.
I have the experience that many devotees, they want to, like they take a nap or something, and they're always so bummed out. They're like, man, I rested too long, wasted time, I eat too much, totally bogus. So why is it that we fall into these habits that we are actually displeased with, and how do we go forward?
We have to stay in the association of devotees, because as long as you're here and at RBC, there's an impetus to act properly. Whereas if we live outside the association of devotees, there's an impetus to act improperly. There's impetus to eat, drink, and be merry, especially on weekends. It's during the week the karmis work hard, and on the weekends they eat, drink, and be merry. But this is materialistic life, and it leads to a hellish mentality. And formerly, when people lived on farms, they were engaged in agricultural activities, and they were living a more natural lifestyle. They were more God conscious, because in the cities we tend to have artificial lifestyles, and the tendency is with so many modern machines and conveniences and technology, the tendency is to forget God. So here it says that all these things that are manufactured in the big industrial factories are not necessary. And Prabhupada wanted to establish Varnashram communities in the country where people can live a natural life and they could practice the principles of Srimad Bhagavatam. They could be satisfied with the bare necessities of life. Rather than sitting in chairs, one could be satisfied. Sitting on the floor, one could be satisfied. Sleeping on the floor without a gigantic mattress. Prabhupada stressed simple living and high thinking, but in the cities, there's a tendency to become contaminated by high living and simple thinking. It's time for the Sankirtan Festival. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. I'll announce the scores now for the week of August 29th for the pleasure of all the assembled devotees, Tulsi Maharani, the Sampradaya Acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, and Sri Sri Gaurnitai. So this week we had